Imagine a world where the rules of the industry were written in stone, a world where every idol followed a predetermined path to success until 8 rebels decided to tear up the script and build their own kingdom from the ground up. Welcome to the era of Stray Kids, the self-produced titans who turned the phrase "step out" into a global phenomenon that resonates in every corner of the planet. Have you ever wondered how a group that was once dismissed for making noise music ended up rewriting the history books of the entire music industry? What is it about their DNA that allows them to shatter glass ceilings that others haven't even touched yet? Today, we aren't just looking at statistics, we are diving into a legacy of sweat, tears, and a mala taste revolution that shifted the tectonic plates of global pop culture. From history-making debut milestones to chart-topping streaks that seem to defy the very laws of gravity, these records aren't just numbers, they are the scars of victory for a group that refused to stay lost. Are you ready to witness the achievements that have left even the biggest giants in the scene in absolute awe? Can you guess which record is so massive, so unprecedented, that it might actually stay unbroken for the rest of time? Let's step out into the high-stakes world of the unbeatable records. Number 8. Bang Chan. The Billboard Dynasty, 5 straight number ones, the captain's masterpiece. When you talk about the absolute pinnacle of global music charts, the conversation usually revolves around established legends, but then came Bang Chan and his crew to completely flip the script on what a K-pop group could achieve on the Western stage. We are talking about a record so massive, so statistically improbable, that it feels like something out of a fever dream. The legendary streak of 5 consecutive albums debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200. This isn't just a lucky break. It's a total takeover that started with the dark, experimental vibes of Ordinary and hammered its way through Maxident, 5-star, Rockstar, and finally, the explosive ATE. To understand the gravity of this, you have to look back at the captain himself, Bang Chan, the man who spent 7 long years in the shadows of the training room watching others debut, while he meticulously crafted the foundation of what would become a global empire. He didn't just lead a group, he engineered a sound that the world didn't even know it needed yet. And when the gates finally opened, the flood was unstoppable. Every single time Stray Kids announced a comeback, the industry held its breath, wondering if they could sustain the momentum. And every single time, Bang Chan's production prowess, alongside his 3 Racha brothers, proved that noise music was actually the symphony of a new generation. Think about the sheer pressure of following up a chart topper with another one, not once, not twice, but 5 times in a row without a single miss. This record places them in a rarefied air inhabited by the likes of the most iconic boy bands in history. Yet they did it while being entirely self-produced, which adds a layer of prestige that is virtually impossible to replicate. It's a reflection of Bang Chan's relentless work ethic, his late nights in Chan's room, and that unbreakable promise he made to stay that he would never let them down. When Ordinary hit that top spot, the world was shocked, calling it a breakthrough. But by the time ATE secured the 5th consecutive crown, the world wasn't shocked anymore. They were witnesses to a dynasty. This record is a testament to the fact that Stray Kids isn't just a trend, they are the new standard. Can you imagine the mental fortitude required to walk into a studio knowing that your next work has to beat the best in the world just to maintain your own streak? Bang Chan carried that weight on his shoulders, blending aggressive hip-hop, intricate EDM, and raw emotional storytelling into a package that resonated from Seoul to New York. The data doesn't lie. The gap between them and the rest of the field grew with every release, turning the Billboard 200 into their personal playground. It's a milestone that defines an era, a moment where the underdog story transformed into a blueprint for success that many will try to copy, but none will ever truly master because they don't have the Channy spark. This record represents the ultimate validation of their step-out philosophy, stepping out of the boxes people tried to put them in and stepping into a throne room they built with their own hands. As we look at these numbers, we have to ask ourselves, is there even a ceiling for a leader who refuses to see limits? How many more times can they defy the odds before the industry simply runs out of records to give them? The atmosphere during each release week was electric, a global mobilization of fans who felt Bang Chan's sincerity in every beat drop and every lyric, proving that when you lead with heart and authenticity, the world has no choice but to listen. This streak is more than a statistic. It is the heartbeat of a movement that Bang Chan sparked in a small studio years ago, now echoing through the speakers of millions. It's a record that feels untouchable because it requires a perfect alignment of talent, timing, and a leader who would rather break than bend. As the first entry in our list, this Billboard dominance sets a bar so high it's practically in orbit, leaving us to wonder if this is just number 8. What kind of earth-shattering achievements are waiting for us as we go deeper into the Stray Kids' legacy? The captain has set the course, and the destination is nothing short of immortality in the halls of music history. Every manic era, every S-class performance, and every ch-ch-boom moment was a brick in this invincible fortress. Stay tuned, because the journey through these records is only getting more intense, and the details behind how they reach these heights will leave you breathless. Number 7. Lee Know. The 14-Day Miracle, the King of Precision. When you step into the world of K-pop, there is a legendary trial that every trainee at JYP Entertainment must face: a gauntlet of movement, known as the 40 Basic Dances. These aren't just simple steps. They are the fundamental DNA of the JYP sound, a grueling curriculum designed to break your spirit and rebuild your muscle memory from the ground up. Most trainees, even the most naturally gifted ones, spend months, sometimes half a year, trying to perfect these 40 sequences. To put it in perspective, the legendary Momo of Twice, a woman widely considered one of the greatest dancers in the history of the industry, took 4 months to master them. It was a gold standard that seemed untouchable until a mysterious, quiet boy from Gimpo walked through the doors with a backpack and a gaze as sharp as a razor. That boy was Lee Min-ho, now known as Lee Know, and what he did next didn't just break a record, it shattered the very concept of what was humanly possible in a training environment. In a staggering, mind-blowing display of professional focus, Lee Know mastered all 40 basic dance moves in just 2 weeks, 14 days. That is the record that sits like a mountain peak in the JYP archives, a feat so dominant that it has remained untouched and likely will never be broken as long as the company exists. But to understand why this record is so unbeatable, you have to look at the man behind the movement. Lee Know wasn't your typical wide-eyed trainee. He was a seasoned professional who had already tasted the dust of the world's biggest stages. Before JYP, he was part of the renowned dance crew Cupcakes, and more famously, he was a backup dancer for BTS during their Wings tour. Imagine the atmosphere standing on a stage surrounded by tens of thousands of screaming fans, not as the star, but as the shadow that makes the star shine brighter. He had performed Not Today in front of global audiences, learning the discipline of a professional dancer, while others his age were still figuring out their footwork. When he finally arrived at JYP, he wasn't there to learn how to dance. He was there to claim his throne. That 2-week record was a declaration of war against mediocrity. It reflected his 4D personality, a blend of eccentric humor and a cold, calculated dedication to his craft. This precision is why he is often called the dance leader of Stray Kids, the one who watches the mirrors with a feline-like intensity, catching a finger out of place or a shoulder tilted 2 degrees too far. His mastery of his own body is so absolute that he is ambidextrous, capable of executing complex movements with the same power and grace on both sides of his body, a rare trait that adds to his legendary status. But the record of those 14 days also carries a deep emotional weight. Remember the survival show? The moment he was eliminated? The world watched as he packed his belongings into a literal bundle, earning him the nickname Bundle Boy, and walked away with a smile that hit a breaking heart. That 14-day record was the reason JYP couldn't let him go. The founder knew that a talent who could conquer the basic 40 in 2 weeks wasn't just a trainee, he was a prodigy whose absence would leave a void in the group's soul. As we look at Lee Know today, in 2026, a global ambassador for Gucci and a philanthropist who recently donated 200 million won to help children and abandoned cats, we see the same man who once pushed his body to the limit in a practice room years ago. His record isn't just about speed. It's about the relentless pursuit of perfection that defines Stray Kids. He turned the mala taste of their music into a visual masterpiece of synchronization. Who else could walk into the lion's den of the industry and rewrite the rules of training in just a fortnight? It takes a specific kind of mental fortitude to process, memorize, and execute 40 distinct high-level choreographies while the clock is ticking and your entire future is on the line. Every time Lee No takes the stage for a song like S-Class or Thunderous, you are seeing the byproduct of that 14-day miracle, a precision that borders on the supernatural. It's a record that serves as a constant reminder to every trainee who enters those halls. You can work hard, but you will always be chasing the ghost of the boy from Gimpo who did in 2 weeks what takes everyone else a lifetime. Does his cold, tsundere exterior mask a heart that beats only for the perfect beat? How does one man maintain such a terrifying level of consistency for nearly a decade? As we move up our list, the records only get more unbelievable, but Lee No's 2-week legend remains the ultimate benchmark for what it means to be a professional in a world of idols. He didn't just pass the test, he became the answer key. And as the spotlight fades on this point, you have to ask if Lee No could conquer JYP's greatest challenge in 14 days. What else is he capable of when the world isn't looking? The precision, the passion, and the sheer audacity of this record make it a cornerstone of the Stray Kids legacy that will likely stand forever. Number 6. Changbin, the speed demon of the dark, the fastest tongue in the industry. Have you ever heard a sound so fast it felt like the air itself was being shredded into a million pieces? That is the atmosphere every time Seo Changbin, the lyrical titan of 3 Racha, steps up to the microphone. We are talking about a record that doesn't just sit on a shelf, it vibrates with the intensity of a jet engine. Changbin holds the title for one of the fastest rap deliveries in the entire history of K-pop, peaking at a staggering 11.13 syllables per second. To the average listener, that's just a blur of sound. But to the industry, it was a declaration that the idol rapper prejudice was officially dead and buried. This record isn't just about moving your tongue quickly, it's about the absolute surgical precision of his cadence. Think about the physical toll of that, the lung capacity required to push out a paragraph's worth of storytelling in the blink of an eye without losing a single ounce of clarity. This is the man who walked into the high-stakes arena of Show Me the Money 9, a place where idol rappers are usually chewed up and spat out by the underground scene. But Changbin? He didn't just survive, he commanded the room. He brought a dark energy that was so authentic, so raw, that it forced the judges to realize they weren't looking at a manufactured star, but a genuine hip-hop prodigy who happens to be an idol. When he featured in the global hit Mirror Mirror alongside Thai legends F-Hero and Millie, he delivered a verse so lightning fast and technically complex that it sent shockwaves through the global rap community. This isn't just speed for the sake of speed, it's the Spear B legacy. Behind that 11.13 syllables per second record lies thousands of hours in a windowless practice room, the same room where he and his 3 Racha brothers built the foundation of Stray Kids. Changbin is the soul of their mala taste genre, the one who directs the recording booth with an iron will, ensuring that every syllable hits with the force of a sledgehammer. But there's an emotional weight to this record too. Changbin spent years being told that his style was too aggressive or too dark for the mainstream K-pop mold. He took those criticisms and turned them into his greatest weapon. Every time he breaks his own speed record, he is proving that being different is his greatest strength. He is the man who can make you feel a deep, guttural intimidation 1 second and then turn around and become the group's Gwenchana icon, showing a vulnerability that makes his technical mastery even more impressive. As we stand here in 2026, looking at his 185-plus Kamka credits, we realize that Changbin isn't just a fast rapper, he is an architect of sound. He uses his speed to create rhythms that shouldn't work on paper but become global anthems in his hands. This record is his fortress, a testament to a man who refused to slow down when the world told him he was going too fast. It's an unbeatable milestone because it requires a combination of raw athletic vocal ability and a producer's ear for timing that very few humans on this planet possess. When you hear that bwah at the start of a track, you aren't just hearing a song, you are hearing the sound of a record being defended in real time. How does he breathe? How does he keep his thoughts from tangling when his mouth is moving at the speed of light? The aura in the stadium when he starts a high-speed verse is unlike anything else, a collective intake of breath from tens of thousands of stays who know they are witnessing history. Changbin didn't just break a record, he redefined the speed of success itself. He is the engine that keeps the Stray Kids machine roaring, the Dwaki who carries the weight of the group's rap reputation on his muscular shoulders. And let's be honest, who else could deliver a verse that makes Eminem's fastest moments look like a casual conversation? This is the power of Seo Changbin. This is why his name is etched in the stars of the rap world, a permanent fixture that reminds everyone, if you want to catch him, you're going to need to move a whole lot faster. Number 5. Hyunjin, the artistic reset, the most watched performance legend, the golden thread of dance. Have you ever seen a single video change the entire trajectory of a genre, turning a 3-minute clip into a cultural monument that defines an entire generation of idols? We are talking about a record that isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about a visual and physical impact so profound, it felt like the world collectively stopped breathing for a moment. This is the story of Hwang Hyunjin and his legendary Artist of the Month performance on Studio Choom, a record that stands as the most viewed and most interacted, with performance in the history of the series, a feat that, as of 2026, still reigns supreme with a gap so large it seems insurmountable. When Hyunjin stepped into that white room to perform Post Malone's Motley Crue, he wasn't just dancing, he was painting a masterpiece with his own blood, sweat, and tears. To understand the weight of this record, you have to look back at the visual label that used to haunt him like a ghost. Early in his trainee days, Hyunjin was often told that he would make it because of his face, not his talent. That comment ignited a fire in him that has never gone out. He would stay in the practice rooms until the sun peeked over the Seoul skyline, repeating a single isolation movement hundreds of times until his muscles screamed. The Motley Crue performance was the ultimate culmination of that grit. It wasn't just the millions of views which shattered the 10 to million, 20 to million, and 30 to million marks faster than anyone thought possible. It was the way he moved. Every flick of his long blonde hair, every sharp angle of his limbs, and that terrifyingly expressive gaze created a cinematic experience that transcended K-pop. He didn't just follow the choreography by BB Trippin', he possessed it. This record is a testament to the Hyunjin effect, where his presence alone can dictate global trends. Think about the atmosphere when that video dropped. The internet didn't just react, it fractured. Fellow idols, professional choreographers, and even casual listeners who had never heard of Stray Kids were suddenly mesmerized by this prince of the 4th generation. But there's a deeper, more emotional layer to this record. This performance came at a time when Hyunjin was making a grand return, proving to the world that his passion for the stage was unbreakable. It was a statement of resilience. Every view on that video represents a person who saw the raw, unfiltered artistry of a man who refused to be just a pretty face. As we stand here in 2026, Hyunjin has evolved into a global icon, a Versace ambassador who brings that same high-fashion drama to every stage, but the Studio Choom record remains his Mona Lisa. It is the gold standard that every new trainee studies, trying to figure out how he managed to make a simple white background feel like a grand opera house. He treats dance like his paintings, deliberate, emotional, and slightly chaotic. The record is unbeatable because it captured lightning in a bottle, the perfect mix of a world-class performer at his peak, a global audience hungry for his return, and a choreography that pushed the boundaries of what an idol is expected to do. How does he manage to make his bones look like they are made of liquid 1 second and steel the next? How does a person communicate so much story without saying a single word? This record is the answer. It's a record of transformation, where a boy who was once told he was just a visual became the most watched dancer of his era. It's the visual heartbeat of Stray Kids, a reminder that they don't just make music, they make art that leaves a permanent scar on the soul of the industry. When you see that view count still climbing years later, you aren't just looking at a popular video. You are looking at the evidence of a revolution led by a man who decided that good enough was never an option. Hyunjin didn't just break the record, he retired the competition. And as we look at the sheer intensity of his legacy, you have to wonder, is there anyone else in the world who can command a camera with such haunting, beautiful authority? The crown of the Performance King isn't just a title, it's a record etched in the digital archives of history, defended every time someone clicks play and gets lost in the Motley Crue magic all over again. Number 4. Han, the youngest all-rounder, 150-plus copyright crowns, the boy who bet it all. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to hold the weight of an entire industry's expectations on your shoulders before you've even reached your mid-20s? To understand the legend of Han Ji-sung, we have to travel back to a small practice room where a young boy, recently returned from Malaysia, made a daring bet with his parents. "Give me 1 year to make it as a singer, or I'll go back to school." That boy didn't just win the bet, he became the ultimate ace of the fourth generation, setting a record that feels almost statistically impossible to beat. As of 2026, Han stands as one of the youngest idols in history to surpass 150 official KOMCA, Korea Music Copyright Association, credits, a milestone that most veterans don't reach in their entire careers, let alone by their mid-20s. This isn't just about a high number of songs, it's about the sheer, raw versatility of a human being who can deliver a high-speed rap verse that leaves you breathless, and then immediately pivot to a soulful, high-note heavy vocal performance that rivals the best main vocalists in the world. The atmosphere surrounding Han's record is one of quiet intensity. He is the J1 of 3 Racha, the lyrical genius who can write an entire masterpiece like Sunshine in a matter of minutes while sitting in a car or a waiting room. This record represents the all-rounder gold standard. It's the physical manifestation of a genius who refuses to be boxed in. When you look at the track list of any Stray Kids album, his name is everywhere, a permanent fixture in the credits of songs that have defined the mala taste genre. But the most emotional part of this record is the depth of the stories he tells. From the heartbreaking loneliness of Alien to the cinematic nostalgia of Wish You Back, Han uses his record-breaking output to speak directly to the souls of those who feel like outsiders. He has turned his personal battles with social anxiety and the pressures of fame into a lyrical sanctuary for millions of stays. Think about the level of discipline required to maintain this pace. Since the pre-debut days of the 3 Racha mixtapes, Han has been a relentless machine of creativity, churning out melodies and metaphors that have shaped the global sound of K-pop. This record is virtually untouchable because it combines 3 rare elements: world-class rapping ability, elite-level vocal technique, and a prolific production output, all starting from an incredibly young age. To break this record, a trainee would have to start producing hits at 15 and never stop for a single day. The Han Jisung phenomenon is the reason why Stray Kids music feels so personal. It's because it's written by someone who is living every word. As we look at his growth in 2026, we see a man who has mastered the art of the one-take recording, a professional who can walk into a booth and deliver perfection on the first try, saving hours of studio time and pushing the group's productivity into another dimension. His record is a testament to the step-out spirit, stepping out of the role of a traditional idol and into the role of a timeless creator. How does someone so young possess the emotional maturity to write about the complexities of the human condition with such precision? How does he balance the chaotic energy of a quokka with the calculated brilliance of a master producer? This record is the answer to those questions. It is the legacy of the boy who bet on himself and won the world. Every time a new Stray Kids song drops and you see lyrics by Han, 3 Racha, you are witnessing the continuation of a record that will likely stand as a lighthouse for future generations of idols who dream of being more than just performers. He didn't just enter the industry, he built a library of emotions that the world will be reading for decades to come. The intensity of his work ethic is the engine that keeps the 3 Racha fire burning, and as we move higher up this list, the records only get more unbelievable. Can you feel the energy shifting? We are entering the territory of the truly legendary, where the records aren't just about numbers, they are about the very soul of the group. What could possibly top the youngest, most credited all-rounder in the game? Number 3. Felix, the sub-bass frequency revolution, the global Instagram sovereign, the angel with the voice of a titan. If you were to close your eyes and listen to a sound that feels like the very earth beneath your feet is beginning to crack open, a frequency so low it vibrates not in your ears but in your chest, you would be experiencing the sonic phenomenon known as Felix. We are talking about a record that isn't just about music charts or sales, but about a physical and digital dominance that has redefined the killing part in K-pop history. Felix Lee, the boy from Sydney who once struggled to find his voice in a foreign land, has set a record as the most followed fourth-generation male idol in the world, a digital crown that he holds with an iron grip and a heart of pure gold. But to understand why this record is so untouchable, you have to look at the sheer, terrifying contrast that defines him. There is an old legend in the industry that idols are supposed to be bright and high-pitched, but Felix walked into the recording booth for God's Menu and Maniac and decided to shatter those expectations with a vocal range that hits frequencies as low as $A, $1, and $G, $1. This record of the deepest killing part is a cultural reset. When he says, "Cookin' like a chef, I'm a 5-star Michelin," the world doesn't just listen, it stops moving. The atmosphere in a stadium when Felix's voice drops is unlike anything else in music. It is a collective gasp, a physical reaction to a sound that shouldn't belong to someone with such a delicate sunshine aesthetic. But this record was born from the ashes of a heartbreak that still makes stays emotional today. Remember the survival show? The moment JYP told Felix that his Korean wasn't good enough and he was eliminated? That was the moment the world almost lost the most iconic voice of a generation. Felix spent his elimination time not in bed, but in the practice room, literally training his tongue to wrap around a new language while keeping his spirit from breaking. That resilience is the foundation of his record-breaking Instagram presence, where he reached 10 million, 20 million, and then surged past every peer to become the undisputed king of the fourth-generation social media landscape. This record isn't just about likes, it's about a global magnetism that led him to become a house ambassador for Louis Vuitton, sitting front row at Paris Fashion Week, and turning the streets of France into his personal runway. He has achieved a level of fashion industry integration that was once reserved for only the most senior legends, and he did it with a speed that left analysts baffled. But the true weight of this record lies in what he does with that power. Felix isn't just a record breaker on the charts, he is a record breaker in humanity. He became the youngest member of the UNICEF Honors Club, donating over 100 million won to help children in Laos, proving that his unbeatable status is built on kindness. Think about the detail of his performances, the way he uses his freckles as a badge of authenticity, the way he executes S-Class, with a precision that makes his deep voice even more jarring against his fluid movements. His record of the most viewed fourth-gen fan cams is a testament to the Felix effect, a phenomenon where people who don't even like K-pop find themselves trapped in his aura. How can a human being possess a voice that sounds like a rumble of thunder, but a smile that feels like the first day of spring? This record of the most followed fourth-gen male idol is practically permanent because the gap between him and the next person is widening by the millions every single month. He has created a digital empire built on Boklix vlogs, high-fashion editorials, and a voice that has become the sonic signature of Stray Kids. Without Felix's low notes, the mala taste genre wouldn't have its spice, and without his global reach, the fourth generation wouldn't have its most recognizable face. This is the man who turned his biggest weakness, his foreign background and deep voice, into the most powerful weapon in the JYP arsenal. As we look at his trajectory in 2026, we see a man who has transcended the title of idol to become a global symbol of diversity and resilience. Every time he posts a picture or drops a deep bass verse, the numbers move in a way that feels like a glitch in the matrix. It's a record that will likely never be broken because it requires a perfect storm of a unique physical gift, a global fashion appeal, and a story of comeback success that resonates with every underdog in the world. Felix didn't just step out, he stepped up and took the throne, and as the spotlight intensifies, we have to ask, is there any limit to the sunshine who holds the power of a storm in his lungs? How many more hearts will he capture before the world simply runs out of followers to give him? The record of Felix is a record of a boy who was told no, and replied with a sound so deep, the world had no choice but to say yes. This is the bass-boosted legacy of the fourth generation's most followed king. Number 2. Seungmin, the unshakable vocal sentinel, the king of the mala taste ballad. In a world of explosive performances and high-octane rap, there is a silent, crystalline pillar that holds the entire structure of Stray Kids together, a voice so stable it feels like it was forged in a laboratory of pure emotion. We are talking about Kim Seungmin, and a record that is often felt rather than just counted. The record for the most consistent live vocal stability in the fourth generation. If the rappers are the fire and the dancers are the wind, Seungmin is the ground, the unshakable foundation that ensures the mala taste sound doesn't just overwhelm, but actually resonates. To understand the gravity of this record, you have to look at the sheer technical difficulty of Stray Kids' discography. These aren't just pop songs, they are chaotic, fast-paced battle cries with intense choreography that would leave most singers gasping for air. Yet, in nearly every live performance, from the world tours to the Kingdom Legendary War stage, Seungmin's pitch remains flawlessly centered, a record of professional vocal health and discipline that has become a legend among industry vocal coaches. This isn't just good singing, this is the vocal war legacy. Think about the detail of his journey, the boy who joined JYP through the 13th open audition, taking second place overall, not because he was the loudest, but because he was the most precise. He is the man who carries a notebook everywhere, meticulously jotting down notes about his own vocal conditions, the humidity of the room, and the nuances of every syllable. This vocal diary is the secret behind his unbeatable record. He has turned the art of singing into a science of success. The atmosphere during his solo performance of Love Poem on Kingdom was a turning point in history. It was the moment the world realized that Stray Kids didn't just have noise, they had a soul. The record of his consistency is why he is the main vocal in a group that thrives on house. He provides the emotional peak in songs like Levanter and the haunting bridge in S-Class that gives the listener a moment of pure melodic clarity. But the most emotional layer of this record is his dandy boy resilience. Seungmin is often the member who stays behind the longest to perfect a single note, the one who treats his vocal cords like a fragile, high-precision instrument. As of 2026, he has expanded his record into the world of OSTs, becoming a blue chip for K-drama soundtracks, because producers know that a Seungmin vocal is a guarantee of quality and emotional depth. This record is unbeatable because it's built on a level of obsessive perfectionism that very few can maintain for nearly a decade. How does he manage to hit a high note while doing a backflip-level choreography without a single quiver in his voice? How does he maintain that puppy-like sweetness while possessing the vocal authority of a veteran? This record is the answer. It is the legacy of a man who decided that being good wasn't enough, he had to be the standard. Every time you hear a hidden vocal or a soaring high note that cuts through the heavy bass of a 3 Racha beat, you are hearing the result of years of disciplined practice. Seungmin didn't just find his voice, he built a fortress around it, a record of stability that serves as a lighthouse for every aspiring idol. He is the reason Stray Kids can experiment with any genre, because they know that no matter how wild the music gets, Seungmin will always be there to bring it home with a melody that breaks your heart and heals it all at once. When you look at the live vocal rankings across the 4th generation, Seungmin's name is consistently at the top, not just for his range, but for his reliability. It's a record of trust. Trust between a singer and his craft, and trust between a group and its anchor. And as we approach the final, most mind-blowing record on our list, you have to ask if Seungmin is the anchor. Who is the one who turned the entire world into a playground for the little bread of the group? The atmosphere is getting heavy, the stakes are at their highest, and the final record is something that literally changed the global economic landscape of K-pop. Number 1. IN. The immortal maknae on top. The youngest architect of the Billboard 8 Peat Dynasty. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be the youngest person on the planet to witness the total reconstruction of musical history? To understand the magnitude of our number 1 record, we have to look past the glitz of the stage and into the eyes of the boy who once stood trembling in a practice room, fearing he wouldn't even make it to the debut line. We are talking about Hyunjin, the legendary IN, and a record that is so statistically gargantuan it feels like a glitch in the simulation of the music industry. As we stand here in early 2026, IN holds the title of the youngest artist in history to be part of a group that achieved 8 consecutive number 1 debuts on the Billboard 200. This isn't just a win, it is an 8-peat dynasty that stretches from the revolutionary spark of Odinery in 2022 all the way to the 2025 and 2026 masterpieces, Karma and Do It. Think about the sheer psychological weight of that. While most people his age are just starting to figure out their path in life, IN has spent the last 4 years at the absolute summit of the global music scene, defending a throne that no other group in history has ever held for this long. This record is the ultimate maknae on top moment. To understand why this is unbeatable, you have to remember the braces-wearing boy from the 2017 survival show. JYP himself was critical of his early performances, and there were moments when the dream felt like it was slipping through his fingers. But IN didn't just survive, he evolved. He turned his Japan, baby bread, image into the desert fox of the industry, a transformation that culminated in the group's first ever grand prize, Daesang, for Album of the Year at the 40th Golden Disc Awards on January 10, 2026. Imagine the atmosphere in that stadium when the youngest member, the one who was once told he needed to work twice as hard just to keep up, stood on that stage holding the highest honor in Korean music for the album Karma. The record of the 8 Peat is personal to him because he is the heartbeat of the group's future. Every time Stray Kids stepped out, they were stepping into a future that IN was destined to lead. His growth is the metric of the group's success. When they hit that 8th consecutive Haseon with Do It in late 2025, it wasn't just a chart victory, it was a testament to his resilience. But the details go even deeper into the world of high fashion and global influence. In 2025 and 2026, IN shattered the youngest records in the fashion world as well, becoming a muse for Bottega Veneta and attending the summer 2026 show in Milan with an aura so dominant it left the paparazzi in a frenzy. He transitioned from the hidden card of the group to the global ace, who can sell out a collection or a stadium with a single glance. This record is unbeatable because it requires a specific timeline of events. You have to debut in a self-producing group, you have to face elimination and return, and you have to maintain a perfect, unbroken streak of global dominance for nearly half a decade without a single miss. The 8 Peat is a wall of statistics that even the giants of the previous generations never scaled in this specific, consecutive way. It reflects the Malataise journey where the youngest member had to digest the most pressure, turning the Maknae on Top song from a fun unit track into a literal reality. How does it feel to know that your voice is part of the first 8 charted release streak to ever hit the top spot in the 70-year history of the Billboard charts? How do you keep your feet on the ground when the world treats you like a living god of pop culture? IN's record is a beautiful, emotional paradox. He is the baby of the group, yet he is a titan of the industry. His stability as a vocalist has soared, and his stage presence has become a masterclass in duality. When he performs Chok Chok Boom, or the 2026 anthem Ceremony, you aren't just seeing a performer. You are seeing the culmination of a decade of blood, sweat, and a refusal to be anything less than S-class. The record of the immortal Maknae is the final piece of the Stray Kids puzzle, the proof that the Lost Boys found exactly what they were looking for. Immortality. As we close this documentary of records, we have to ask ourselves, now that they have conquered the charts, the fashion world, and the history books, what is left for the group that refuses to see a ceiling? Is there any record left to break, or have Stray Kids simply become the record that everyone else is trying to understand? The legacy of IN and his brothers is etched in the diamond-certified halls of 2026, a reminder that if you step out and stay true to your sound, the world will eventually have no choice but to follow your lead. The era of the 8 Peat is just the beginning of a legacy that will be talked about for 100 years, led by the Maknae who truly, undeniably sits on top of the world.